So, what's the right thing to do when your entire career is on the line? We're about to dive into some of the toughest ethical dilemmas any engineer could possibly face. And believe me, these decisions, they aren't just about bridges and buildings. They're about people's lives.
Okay, just picture this for a second. You're the engineer. You've just found a toxic chemical leak. You do the right thing, you report it, but your boss, he gives you an ultimatum. Stay quiet or you're fired. I mean, the pressure is just immense, right? So what do? Do you protect the public or do you protect your own paycheck?
And let's be clear, that's not some kind of exaggeration. The choices you make in your professional life, they can have this massive ripple effect impacting the health, the safety, even the environment of an entire community. This is that moment where ethics stops being just another chapter in a textbook and becomes, well, absolutely critical.
So, how do we even begin to tackle a problem like this? Well, turns out there's a foundational principle, kind of like a North Star for professionals, that just cuts right through all that confusion. Let's just call it the unbreakable rule.
This is it. This is the core principle. Before loyalty to your boss, before the company's bottom line, before your own job security, comes your duty to protect the public. It is the first and absolutely the most important line in the Code of Ethics, period.
And look, this isn't just for some huge, catastrophic failure. This rule applies anytime the safety and welfare of people are at risk. It doesn't matter if it's a leaky chemical tank, a building put up in a known flood zone, or a bridge with known faults. This primary obligation, it kicks in immediately.
You know, there's this really fascinating concept called social experimentation. And what it basically means is that engineering, it's not done in some isolated lab. Every single project is, in a way, an experiment, and society is the test subject. The consequences are very, very real, and that's exactly why having a personal, professional code is just non-negotiable.
Okay, but let's be real. It's not always a super clear-cut case of public danger versus a bad boss, right? Sometimes the ethical lines get really blurry, especially when our personal relationships get involved, and that creates a major conflict of loyalties.
I mean, what do you do when your best friend is the one supplying the materials? Or a contractor offers you a little, something extra for a favor? These are the situations that really test your ability to be what the code calls a faithful agent. Basically, an impartial and fair trustee for your client and for the public.
And this is that internal conflict, right here. It's a real tug of war. On one side, you've got all these very human pressures. Friendship, maybe some extra cash, or just trying to keep the peace. But on the other side, you've got your professional duty, to be that faithful agent, to act fairly, and to put the good of society above everything else.
So here's the bottom line. The code is crystal clear on this. It leaves zero room for ambiguity. Your professional responsibility demands independence and fairness. Yeah, even if it creates a super awkward situation with a friend, the ethical path is always to maintain your impartiality. Now, when these ethical principles get ignored, the results can be just devastating. And it's almost never just one single mistake. It's more like a chain of failures where every single compromise adds another weak link until it all breaks. Let's take a look at a real and truly tragic example of this, the collapse of the Basheri River Bridge. The year was 2007. Hundreds of people were on this bridge all heading to a local fair when it just gave way. And when they investigated, what they found was just a cascade of ethical failures. The consultant didn't supervise properly. The supervisor, totally unaware of faulty bulldog grips. The contractor didn't bother to tighten the nuts like they were supposed to. And then, the owner opened the bridge to the public knowing it was faulty. Think about that. Each person in that chain had a chance to stop this disaster, and no one did.
18 people confirmed dead, with dozens more missing, never found. That number, that's the real human cost when professional ethics are pushed aside. It's the ultimate price of failure.
And it all just comes right back to this one single idea. Every person in that chain of failure, they violated this fundamental principle. They put something else first. Maybe it was convenience, maybe cost, maybe a deadline. They put it above the good of society, probably just telling themselves, it'll be fine, but it wasn't.
All right, so knowing the principles and seeing the awful consequences, that's one thing. But how do you actually use this framework to make the right call when you're the one on the spot, with all the pressure on?
Okay, let's go all the way back to that first dilemma we talked about. the toxic leak, your job on the line. Now that we have this framework, what's the answer? What does the code actually demand that you do?
So here's how the ethical math works out. For that toxic leak, public safety is way more important than job security. The right call is to report it, even if that means you have to quit. And what about your friend, the supplier? Well, your duty as a faithful agent means you either guarantee objective quality control or you step away from the situation. See some substandard concrete? The good of society is always greater than personal gain. You report it. Simple as that.
So here's a simple 5-point checklist you can pretty much carry in your back pocket. Number 1, public safety and welfare come first, always. 2, uphold competence and knowledge, know what you're doing. 3, take accountability for your work. 4, act as a faithful agent and trustee. And number 5, avoid all conflicts of interest. Seriously, these 5 rules can guide you through almost any ethical maze you find yourself in.
And you know, it's so important to see this code not as a bunch of restrictive rules, but as a set of tools. These are the principles you use to build a world that isn't just strong and efficient, but one that's also safe and trustworthy.
Because in the end, a code of ethics, it's just a guide. It's a map. It can't make the decision for you. That final choice, the choice to speak up, to act with integrity, to put other people first, that choice is always and only yours. So the real question is, what foundation are you going to build your career on?